Intro. Today it's the 1st of February 2015 and I'm on my bed writing this intro to this small novel. I'm quite interested in observing human behavior, especially behavior of groups with a homogeneous culture. I found out through personal experience that all societies are mental constructions, they only exist in the minds of those who adhere to those idols. Yes, all societies are a form of idolatry. This novel is meant as a parable. A parable to display the hidden mechanisms that precede all cultures and moral codes throughout history. I hope this novel will give you insight in social problems and what biblical scholars define sin. This narrative is based upon real-life facts I encountered in the social realm. I converted them into a discourse that takes place during the beginning of the 2nd century AD, during the period of the Praecipitus Rumors. The Principate, Roman Empire, was the global economic, political and cultural order since 27 BC till the fall around 406 AD, with borders from Iberia, Ireland, till Mesopotamia, Iraq, a population of 70 million, that declined to less than 50 million over time, and hundreds of Greek city colonies all over the globe. Remains of that Pax Romans, Roman peace, can still be seen today in the civilizations of the world. We go to February the 1st in 116 AD, the year 869 on the ancient Roman calendar AB Urbi Codita. We will zoom into Noricum, Austria, which was a Celtic client kingdom within the empire, that managed to keep their independence for a long time. We go to the city Juvavum, Salzburg. A wealthy city where almost everyone had Roman citizenship. The city's economy existed out of the trade in pottery, minerals, gold, slaves, Greek art and agricultural products. There were embassies of Germanic kingdoms there, because Rome was too far off. The population was around 20,000 in the city, urbs, and around 40,000 living in small villages around the city, which together formed the municipum. The 60,000 population were mostly natives, a small community of Romans, Greeks, Macedonians, Egyptians and Hebrews, who were called Jews. One of those Hebrews was a guy named Simon, who adopted the name Althus Hebraicus Juvavus. He was born 21 years earlier and he attended a scholarship in Lodium, London, and Ibla, Dublin, in ethnography and political sciences. He lived for about 4 years abroad in Britain, England and Wales, and Iberia, Ireland. He is fluent in Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek, Latin and the local language of the British people. He has been back in Juvavum for about 3 months. And he decided that he's going to travel a lot. This fiction is aimed to give anthropological and sociological insight. Enjoy it. It has been 3 months and 4 days since I've returned from Iberia. I cannot say that I've missed this place. They call it the City of Salt, due to the abundance of that mineral in the storehouses. Nothing changed around here. The city council is still discussing whether or not they should build a new village at the riverside. The municipality has been bankrupt for almost 1 year now. I received the news from my Celtic tutor in Ibla, who received the news from the Roman guards that were stationed at the royal palace. The kingdom of Noricum has known its inner problems since it became a part of the empire. But since about 5 years there is a polarization going on between the northern provinces and the southern provinces. The cities Juvavum and Videbor, just outside Noricum, yet very important for the Auric people, are more orientated upon the German kingdoms, Scandinavia, Arago and Cimbria. The southern provinces of Noricum show more interest with Italy, Egypt, Macedonia and Lusitania. I haven't experienced much of the tension because I was abroad. The people, however, are willingly ignorant of all the economic and societal problems that are happening. The young people, my peers, are often seen in casinos, bars, whorehouses, theaters and sport stadios. Furthermore, some of the daughters of the Auric princes have built a zoo in Juvavum. There are all kinds of Chinese animals, including dragons and hybrid beings. 1 month ago some elephants from Numidia were imported. The zoo attracts many tourists, about 500 each week. The hostels in the city are often full. Many drunkards fight during weekends and pagan holidays. The elderly are distant from the younger generations. They have contempt for the lack of morality among the young. But I suspect also because many of the young people are believers of the Christ, whom the Hebrews and Pilate crucified about 90 years ago in Jerusalem. In Noricum and Rhine alone there are about 200,000 Christians. They live separated from their societies and they often refuse loyalty unto Rome. In Britain and France together about 400,000. There are even city rulers who belong to the faith. Some believe the total of Christians within the empire is around 8 million and in the whole world 25 million. But nobody knows their exact number. One thing that's certain is that this cult of this Yeshua of Nazareth is not something that will disappear soon. It seems like a virus that's infecting and damaging every kingdom, every language, every kindred, every population and every institution in the world. I myself joined the kingdom of Christ about 8 years ago. And I never regretted it. It has opened my eyes to how the world really is, and where it is heading towards. I did endure persecution and a month imprisonment in Britain for my faith. Due to me being a Roman citizen by birth, I was released. My arrest had caused a political controversy with the British politicians and Roman rich in Lodium. The governor had to intercede to prevent any armed conflict within the ruling class. So I was released and paid a compensation of 5,400 denarii. I used the money to rent a 2-year apartment in Ibla for about 300 denarii. I also bought Roman citizenship for slaves that fled their masters. I was requested by the citizens of Ibla to leave their city. They never told why. So I shook the dust off my feet and left to Brigatium, that's in Spain. From there I traveled a 4-day journey to Olisipo. I remained there for 5 days before continuing to Augusta Emerita. There I paid a military chariot to bring me to Helvetia. From Helvetia I traveled a 1-week journey to Juvavum. Now I have about 1,200 denarii left. So I'm thinking about traveling to the country of the Frisian people. Their land is at the end of the Rhine River. The Roman have many military bases in that area. I'm interested in visiting Lugdunum, Batavarum, Lide, Mummaeus, Groige, and Nabalia, Zwolle, which is the wealthiest city of the Frisians. Together with me there will go 2 scholars, to document the culture of the Frisians. The first scholar is a native Auric who adopted the Greek name Erasmos Theophilos, and the second is a Roman-born Dacia who carries the Greek name Theovalsos. Both are educated in Egypt and are aware of the occult arts of magic, politics and group dynamics. I've arranged a German group of bandits that will bring us to Nabalia, by avoiding the roads with tax obligations. They will not remain with us after our arrival. The total cost for the 16-day journey is 400 denarii. 2. Our journey through the German kingdom Bohemia was easy. The inhabitants of the land didn't bother with us at all. Due to my dark skin, they believed I was an Ethiopian or Egyptian. They showed hospitality towards us. There was a certain young woman who heard about our destination and compelled us to include her into our journey. Her name is Diana. Aged 17. She's a half Frisian from a village near Oviomagus Batavarum, Ijmeeg. Her father and grandfather served in the Imperial Guard in Syria. She lives in Bohemia with her mother, 5 brothers and several cousins. Diana has short brown hair, brown eyes, a very white skin and wide hips. She, however, has a little secret: she doesn't like men like other women do. She likes women, and she often seduces her female peers into her bedroom for intense physical enjoyment. She slept with almost every young woman in her village in Bohemia, that is 64 women in total. Most of her lovers are redheads and blondes. Her lovers are sisters and sometimes mothers of other people in the village. The men are not aware at all of the nights their wives, sisters, daughters and mothers spend with Diana. We continued to the city Marius, Hamburg, which had a big harbour filled with storehouses. The city had a population around 25,000 people. From there, we were told that the bandits could not continue with us. They already raided some towns in Frisian territory. They could face imprisonment and the death penalty if they are arrested. Both the Roman authorities as the Frisian authorities are angered by them. I, Simon, decided to buy a ferry ticket to Nabalia for me, Diana, the 2 scholars and 2 slaves that fled from their masters. The journey from Marius to Nabalia took about 2 days. The area was very cold during the night. We survived it. But we would never do such a dangerous trip again. At our arrival in Nabalia, we were welcomed by the harbour patrol. We bribed them with some money and were allowed into the city. The city is not much different than the Roman cities. The exception is that there are no graven images of the Caesars or other Greek, Macedonian or Roman heroes to be found, at least not in public. There were Romans over there. Some of them had Nabalia wives and didn't plan to ever return back home. Nabalia had a population of around 10,000 people. The neighbor villages and smaller cities around included, the area had a population of 80,000 people. This area of Frisia is not a part of the Roman Empire. The province Germania Inferior, which is a part of the area Gaul, does not collect any taxes from this area. Since the days of Augustus, the tribute was denied after 30 years of obedience to Rome. The people around here are mostly blonde, ginger and redhead, with blue or green eyes. The women are quite tall and sensual. We were able to rent a house in a nearby village for less than 30 denarii. The 2 scholars took the same room. I remained in a separate room and Diana decided she would make the living room her personal area. Yesterday, when I came back home, I noticed some sounds in the living room. I hid myself to see. There was this blonde girl, with her legs opened. She almost lost her breath by moaning. Diana was holding her tights open with a firm grip of her hands, while she was moving her wet tongue over her clit like crazy. From time to time, she would stick her tongue completely inside of her. After a few minutes the blonde climaxed, and Diana licked her juices. "I'm done, bye." The blonde stood up to dress herself. Before she could cover her behind, Diana pushed two of her fingers inside her rectum. The blonde woman was terrified. Diana fingered her ass for a few seconds, before sticking her tongue into it. Afterwards she spanked her ass several times till her it became red. The unknown, blonde beauty, in tears rushed away. I pretended not to have seen anything. "I know you saw us. You pervert." She leaned on me while I was writing. "And of all people you're the one calling me a pervert." Who was she? Who? That slut whose behind is red because of your sadistic desires. Slut? Yeah, why would a woman allow you to do all of those things to her, that you just did, while she is virtuous? She must be some commodity among the men here. I'm not sure. She's lonely. She wanted someone to talk to. Well, Diana, you took great advantage of that. I always do. And if works most of the time. Why don't you get a man? It would be very easy for you. She walks over to the window. Ah, that's not fun. I enjoy tricking those chicks and laying with them. They are easy because they never expect it from me. Diana stared at me. What? Why don't you get a woman? Simon. I will on the right time. No need to rush. Diana leaves and I'm about to lay down for sleep, but then I sensed the cold of the weather. 3. Today we were invited to witness the coronation of a local heir of a chiefdom. The chiefdom Otilia consists out of 1160 people. The previous chief Friso died 4 days ago. His nephew Tutoikos will succeed him. The one inviting us were some of the men of that chiefdom. The coronation ceremony lasted for about 3.5 hours. The witches performed their dances to invoke the gods to bless the community. The villagers each presented a gift to the new chief of Otilia. There were also diplomats from Italy there, to establish peaceful relations between the chiefdoms of Nabalia and the municipalities near the Rhine River. The Roman ambassadors brought female slaves, Greek statues, tropical fruits and Mediterranean vegetables for Tutoikos, whose reign name is Kyros I. After the celebration there was an abundance of wine, beer and meat for everyone. I decided to leave earlier because I can't stand such pagan festivals. I noticed that folks became drunk and began harassing each other. Older men jumping on young boys, and the women began to tear each other's clothes till they were naked upon each other. It was around evening when I arrived back to the village where we were lodging. At arrival I noticed that someone broke into the house. So I ran into the building to see if the invaders were still there. Now I realize that that wasn't the wisest thing to do. Inside, everything was turned upside down. 200 denarii was stolen and Diana was nowhere to be found. Furthermore, there was a trail of blood in the room of the 2 scholars. I packed the money that was left and I left town. At the moment I'm walking on an empty road towards a remote city in a closed agricultural community. It's quite strange that Diana disappeared like that. She refused to attend the ceremony, because she was still committing fornication with that blonde girl in the village. So, He expected to see her doing her again that evening. The two scholars would arrive later, they told, but they never showed up. It's still 4 more hours by feet to arrive at the city. I'm already tired. But I have to move on. There's no way I can return back to the metropolitan area of Nabalia. To approach the imperial border would be foolish. The Imperial Guard would arrest me for getting involved with criminals and charge me with illegal travel. I have no interest in spending months in a dirty military prison. The river Nabalia is the separation between the Frisian people and the southeastern Frisian tribes. I'm heading towards the east of the Nabalia River. 4. Antonio is a farmer with a small farm at the edge of the Principality Bavakila, which has about 13,500 inhabitants. The city is surrounded by thick woods, small streams and hundreds of small lakes. The Prince of Bavakila has recently executed several Roman citizens who were caught molesting children. This led to political tensions between the Frisian chiefdoms, principalities and remote clans. Antonio, who is around 60 years of age, knew a few of those equitiers, because they were his employers. At the moment he still has about 3 employers who assist him with the cattle and the preservation of the food supply. The names of his laborers are Selva, Ritia and Kilii. 3 young women, unmarried, who fled the city due to a bad reputation. Ritia is 22 years old. She has a cousin named Roxanne, 17 years old. She is still living at home with their parents. Besides Roxanne, Ritia also has 4 older brothers who are all married with families of their own. Ritia's other family members moved out of town almost 10 years ago. Some even migrated to Helvetia to start business careers. It is around 10 a.m. in the morning. The people in the city are busy with their daily routines. Then this black man, tall, clothes in Roman style, arrived at an inn. The guests in the inn stared at him. They aren't used to see colored people in this area. Most of the people in this city are xenophobic and avoid strangers as much as possible. The black man grabs his pocket and picks a golden coin. I would like to have a room. How much will it cost? The bartender, surprised by his fluency in Greek, answered. How long do you want to stay? 5 days. I'm sorry, we only receive guests for a maximum of 2 days. But if you want to rent or buy an apartment, there is a real estate business 2 blocks away from here. They speak Latin, Greek and Egyptian over there. Are good. Thanks for telling me. The black man looks around. He notices that folks are suspicious about him. Where are you from? The bartender winks him to come closer. Are you a diplomat? I'm a researcher and scholar from the Auric Kingdom. My family are Hebrews, who are also called Jews by the Romans. I'm traveling through this area for a while. The bartender hands him a glass of beer and adds, don't get too involved with the people around here. They are very suspicious of outsiders. If possible, leave this town. The Hebrew leaves. The inn guests begin to talk about him. They even press the bartender to reveal what they were talking about. Today I walked to the edge of the city. I found a small village with a population of 300. The village has a relative old population. Most young people migrate to the city and a few join the Roman Navy in order to get a scholarship. While I was sitting near a fountain, an old man approached me. He inquired me, in Latin. "Good morning, do you need help? I'm looking for a place to rent. According to the people in town, there are some accommodations available in this village." "Well, you don't have to rent anything, there are some empty houses around here." "Empty?" "The residents fled and never returned. They left everything behind." I become suspicious about this. In the city people are quite scared of foreigners, and here I find families who flee from the place. "What's your name?" "Atwas Pavatorius Germaicus, a veteran from the Legion in Eboracum, Britain. I've served 25 years in the Imperial Army. I fought in Britain, Mesopotamia, Armenia, and as a security guardian I've protected Roman cargo ships between Olisipo and Itawara, a harbor settlement across the Atlantic Ocean. I've been on sea for 4 years going between Lusitania and the Aplak kingdoms. After 25 years and 4 months, I received the opportunity to become involved in the politics of Rome. I remained in Rome for 3 years before moving to Nabalia. There I purchased my farm." "You have the nickname Germaicus. So you're a native of Germany?" "I'm from the Frisian Islands, belonging to the Flevo people, who live in the west of Frisia, near the shores at the German Sea, North Sea. At age 15 I joined the British Legion. At 43 I came here. That's about 22 years ago." "Where are your wife and children?" "I don't have any." When Anthony said that, I was surprised. I did have a lover back in Britain. In my 2020s. She was the wife of one of the politicians. It's due to her that I made progress in my military career. She became pregnant. Her husband never found out. My fellow soldiers were aware of everything. When rumors broke out after 5 years, the governor of Britain replaced me to Armenia. My daughter should be around 43 years now. I never went back to find things out. I could have been imprisoned or murdered for what I did. As a soldier you're expected to behave morally and with dignity. Trespassing is punished severely in the army. I was lucky that the governor intervened before all hell broke loose. I've learned that some places of your past should remain just that, places of your past. When you try to restore something you should have left alone, you'll bring disasters upon yourself and upon those around you. Some things are meant to disappear. What about your family? I haven't seen them in about 50 years and I'm not interested in looking for them either. The army was my escape from my toxic background. I used my time in the army to learn other languages and to know other people. And I received the opportunity to travel a lot. These things my relatives and kin back at the islands had no interest in. Why didn't you send them letters and contacted them? They might have changed their mindset and become different after they've witnessed your development. He smiles at me. Son, you have a lot to learn. As an older man who has been through many dangers and ugly circumstances, who has seen many people perish and who has endured many difficulties, I'm telling you one thing that will save you a lot of misfortune. Some people will never change because they don't want to face themselves. They will always blame someone else, because that's easier than taking responsibility. Such people you should expel from your life early. Don't allow them to stick around so that their negativity won't lay eggs for your future. He's right. Completely. He continued. Believe me, most people would rather murder you and become a fugitive, than to admit that they are wrong. Unrepentant people are extremely dangerous. But where are you from? And why are you doing in a remote place like this? I'm Simon, a Hebrew born and raised in Juvavum, a big city in Noricum. I came here with 2 fellow scholars and a Frisian prostitute who joined us on the road through Germany. I've lived in Britain too. Also in Iberia, for my studies. I came here to find out if it was possible to form economic relations between the Danite Hebrews in Noricum and the Frisian tribes. So, why are you here? In this village. I'm looking for a place to hide. 4 days ago at the coronation of the chief of Otilia, my 2 travel mates disappeared and traces of blood was all over their apartment. The prostitute who joined us disappeared also. We entered Nabalia illegally. I fled immediately to this place. For 4 days I've been wandering in the city for an accommodation. Well, don't expect to see those friends of you again. They are probably being ritually sacrificed unto the gods as we speak. That often happens with foreigners. But be not afraid, I'm a foreigner myself, according to the local people. My time in Britain, Rome, Armenia, Mesopotamia, Greece, Appalachia and Lusitania impacted how I am, so there's a big gap between how I see things and how the locals see things. Most of these people live in fear and they have many unreasonable expectations of reality. Just act wise when you're around them and you'll be fine. Anthony showed me one of the abandoned houses and I moved in. 6. 2 weeks passed by since I moved into this house. The people in the village are used to me already. I'm known as the Jew and Simon the scholar. It's almost spring and the people are already preparing for some local festival. My goal was to observe the tribes around here. Well, this is my chance. It didn't went as I planned. I didn't expect myself in a remove principality, living in a furnished home for free, within a community that's open. You see, sometimes when things are falling apart, they may really be falling into place. I made a few friends already. Bart, who is a baker and married. He has 8 children, all who still live at home. His wife is friendly and homely. Chit, who is a teenage slave who ran away from his Roman buyers, and Anthony, the veteran. Today I saw a few girls at the local bathing house. They were finished bathing and were chatting about nothing as women often do. I was on my way to the blacksmith to purchase same locks for my doors. The blacksmith spoke Greek, so I had the opportunity to communicate with him. That same day I received the locks. On my way back home I saw this girl I never seen before around here. When I arrived at home there were some dogs wandering at my door, so I kicked them and they left. Inside my house, well, kind of my house. I began to think about meeting more people around here. I left the house and went to the village court, a public building at a market square, where people came regularly to hang out and chat with one another. There I saw that girl again. She looked kind of distressed, as if she's emotionally upset with something. She was surrounded by 8 other girls. They were chatting. I noticed that she was only pretending to be happy and pretending to enjoy the company she obviously didn't. Then suddenly, Diana appeared. What? Diana saw me, but she ignored me. She kept talking with the group of young women and after a half hour she came near me. Why are you so surprised? She's direct, as always. And I didn't expect to see you around here. You're the one asking me. I saw you leaving that night. After that the other two decided to flee. Flee? You didn't know. We were threatened to leave that place. An angry mob has beating up those two guys. That day you went to the coronation. So I hid myself in the bushes, till you came. I was planning to join you, but you were quick. So I followed you. Why didn't you call me? We were being spied upon, the whole time, Simon. The whole time. You are the only one that didn't notice it. We didn't want to upset you, so we kept quiet. Where have you been past 3 weeks? I was able to stay at the house of a Christian, an elderly widow. I'm still there. In town they were talking about a black man, so I followed the rumors. According to my new friend Roxanne, he lived in this area. And I noticed you checking her out. Excuse me. Don't play innocent. I saw you gazing at her when you arrived here. She's hot, isn't she? Diana pointed out to her and I agreed. It's the girl I've noticed on my way to the blacksmith. Rox, come here. There she came. She's a beautiful and tall young woman, slim figure, long legs, broad hips, blue eyes, soft light skin and long reddish hair. I could see at the quality that her hair color is dyed, and not natural. Her natural color is blonde. She wore a short skirt, sandals, a covering cloth that covered her torso, and she wore an iron necklace. You could still see the shape of her breasts and ass through her clothes. This is Simon, the Hebrew, he's a buddy of mine. Hey, I'm Roxanne. Nice meeting you. Nice meeting you too, Roxanne. The other girls called her and she left. Excuse me. Diana stared at me. What? She had that exciting look on her face. Well, she's hot, isn't she? You're not planning to sleep with her, are you? She's your friend. Maybe. I'm not sure. She has a bad temper and she can lash out from time to time. I don't like that. But I sure would like to throw her down, split her legs and force my tongue inside her fertile pussy. Oh dear. I'm being real and you know me. I like playing with girls. Well, just don't do it. You cannot have healthy relationship with other women if you, a woman yourself, cherish perverse desires about them. Ah well. I never had healthy relationships with women. Who cares? Anyway, I'll check you out later. Need to go now. 7. Yesterday Diana came to the Anthony village, which was founded by the Roman veteran. She tried to become the center of attention again. It's strange, I only know her for about 3 weeks now, yet it seems as if I can see through all her nonsense. My mom thinks that she's a witch, because of her short hair and provoking attitude. I'm not sure about her being a witch. The only witches I knew were loner women who avoid social life at all costs. Anyway, after yesterday I'm more suspicious about her. She was literally stealing my friendships. She drew all attention unto herself and it seemed as if I had become invisible. She talked with the Hebrew who moved to the Anthony village. There are rumors that he is a fugitive. Anyway, now I'm friendless and lonely. I'm tired of this city, but I'm not interested of going to Nabalia either. I just want to get away and have some new friends. Now I'm wondering why Diana joined the crew of scholars to come to this country. It doesn't make sense. Which girl would leave her hometown behind to join some strange men, who are being transferred by robbers? That girl is insane. What seems more strange is where the two other men went. According to Diana, the Hebrew was the leader of the crew. He came here to do business. Yet, he ended up in a veterans' village. Maybe he is a secret agent of Rome, sent to spy on us. I also have my doubts about Anthony. From all the countries in the world he chose this remote principality, removed from almost every international roads and rivers, to remain for his retirement. I've crossed the Rhine River once with some family members. We had to pay toll for passing through. The border patrol was easy on us, due to the guard being a native Frisian himself. We visited a city named Noricum, which is about 10 hours away from Oviomagus Batavarum. In Noricum we remained for about 2 weeks because of a festival of the fertility goddess of the Bataviai people. There were about 8,000 people at the celebration, according to my parents. I was just 12 at the time. There was salted pork, seasoned chicken, turkey, ox meat, horse meat, and also an abundance of fish available for all visitors and participants. The festival happens every year right before the summer solstice. When I was 14, my parents and I visited a city named Durovaria. The population over there is similar to us. We had to lodge in Buia for 4 days before we could take the ferry to Britain. The weather in Britain is a bit warmer than in Frisia. The Durovarias were highly Romanized. Some completely assimilated themselves from their own native cultures. This was often necessary to achieve high positions in the military and in the business world. We remained in Durovaria for 18 days. I really have no idea why Dad decided to join the pilgrims to Britain. As far as I know, we don't have any British ancestry. When we were leaving we had to take an alternative route due to disturbances in the Roman navy. We travelled to Lodium, which is the capital of Britain. The city has a thick wall around the southern part, where about 40,000 people live. In that area there are about some 50 other villages, which form about another 15,000 inhabitants around the city. Lodium is also the home of the British King. We lodged in Lodium for 3 days before being escorted to a small ferry. The journey on the river and German Sea took about 5 days due to bad weather. We arrived at a harbour town named Hyam, which was near the military base Forum Hadriae. We had to travel to Trajectum, which according to the Frisians is in the middle of Frisia and Batavia, to cross the Rhine and travel towards the bridge at the Nabalia River. So I've seen some Batavia, Frisian, Roman, British and Gallia cities. Nothing compared to this place. This place is boring and very closed-minded. I really would like to live somewhere else. I heard about the country Italy and about Helvetia. According to Anthony, there are many clear lakes over there. Italy has many slaves, all people say. Well, I can't say it for sure. I've never been there. 8. It's now near the end of April. The city council of Juvavum gathers together. The disappearance of the 3 scholars disturbed many in the city. There are many rumors about their whereabouts. One of such rumors was that there was a certain Jew who accompanied a Roman veteran in a small town just at the east of the Nabalia River. The city council informed the army about this veteran. He is known by the name Anthony. He was stationed in Juvavum for 15 months before being deported to Armenia. The reason for his replacement was never made public. According to gossips, he impregnated several wives of the rich families he was supposed to guard. The scandal was so big that some of the families had a plot to kill him, because the court wouldn't prosecute him. The embarrassment was so big that the King of Britain was approached, by some army officials, to judge in the matter. The British king refused to get involved with the case, due to the sensitive information that was leaked. To prohibit bloodshed, the king informed the Roman governor, who decided to expel Anthony to Juvavum, till the army officials in Juvavum came with a reasonable solution. There was only circumstantial evidence against the army officer. Not enough to make a firm case. Despite that, Anthony was banned for 15 years from Britain. The city council arrested some of the Hebrew elders to interrogate them about the whereabouts of Simon. These arrests led to nothing and those elders were released. Nobody could understand the connection between Anthony and Simon. Neither were they sure that the rumor was true. The reason that they were after Simon is due to an accusation that he's a Christian and refused to pay taxes to the government. Furthermore, he has, according to the banks, a student debt of about 6 years' wages, 5,000 denarii, that's left unpaid. The creditors and debt collectors have no trace of his current address. Furthermore, it would cost much money to search for him in Britain and Iberia. The treasury of the municipality was already near bankruptcy. Some old associates of Simon claim that the debt doesn't exist. They claim that the debt accusation is a conspiracy of the municipality to persecute Simon for his Christian faith and open refusal to conform to the worship of the Roman gods. A public execution of a Christian could easily be used as a political method to secure stability in the Juvavum community, who is now again being ripped apart by rivalries between family members. It's common in the empire to use scapegoats to secure social stability. The legal system knows this method to be cheap and very effective. However, if the scapegoat mechanism isn't exercised well, it will backfire and destroy the whole community. In the past it happened that the rivalries in Juvavum got out of hand and that everyone began to assault everyone. The deaths were 2388. The severe injured were around 4,000. Besides that, thieves plundered the treasury of the municipality and the homes of other public figures were emptied of all their goods. Half of the city was in ruin and bloody organs and dismembered corpses were lying on the streets and small roads. The king of Noricum, in cooperation with the diplomats of Rome, decided to blame the whole ruin upon a group of Frisian peasants that were lodging within the borders of Noricum. This was successful and about 200 peasants were sacrificed, women and small children included. The executions brought a temporal relief upon the cities around Juvavum. There were however skeptics that understood the bullshit of the whole justice that the governors brought to the people. There was no connection whatsoever to the massacres, mass rapes and robberies in the municipality and the Frisian farmers who were lodging within the borders of the kingdom. But most skeptics were silenced with weeks in jail and treats upon their wives and children. There were 2 Frisian Christians, who knew a few of the murdered Frisian peasants, who boldly spoke out against the evil done by the government. Those 2 Christians were successful. Their stance for righteousness impacted the growth of the Christian communities in both Rhine and Noricum. even though they had to flee to other countries, because both the people and the government were determined to destroy them. This history of the slaughter of 200 Rhetians have been covered up as if it never happened. The deaths and injured in Juvavum are now told to have been caused by a disease, caused by infected cows. Totally ignoring the real history that happened. It happened about 58 years ago. The city council is afraid that Simon might have found out about the crime and might have gathered evidence against them that he might use for his own profit. Only a few in the Frisian and Doric kingdoms today remember the crime. The elder survivors died a long time ago and most of the young generation of that time are also deceased. There are still parents who told their kids of what happened and who can explain the decline of the Juvavum population. 9. This is a letter from the governor of the Rhetia to the king of the Auric kingdom. Greetings be to you. As you've heard, that are some troubles among the Jews in diaspora throughout the empire. His Majesty Emperor Trajan is occupied with wars against Parthia at the time of this writing. As I've informed and found out that there is a large concentration of Jews living within the borders of your kingdom, I recommend you to take action against them. The Jews have a history of causing trouble everywhere they go in the world. I received a rumor from soldiers that there is a certain young man from the Hebrews who attended academies in Britain and Iberia. As I was looking for more information about this man, I could find none. My motive for troubling you with this Jew is because I don't want to have a Jewish uprising within the territory of Rhetia and the territory of Vidlasma, upon which I'm both appointed by the emperor. Why would a Jew want to attend scholarship in such two distant countries? Who financed him? What are his plans? As we both know, nothing in this world is certain. Within the two countries upon which I'm appointed there's an increase of unwanted German and Asian migrants. They often don't work, and if they work they cheat on the taxes. Some Jewish gangs are also active. They break into storehouses and plunder food supplies, and they break into prisons and release prisoners. I'm not reporting all of this to Rome, because it will cause and lead to more military presence in the Alpine countries. That will cause hysteria among the people and lead to many unnecessary dramas that I want to prevent. Cooperate with me in this case to secure the economic and social stability of both our areas and inform me more about this dark-skinned man who is causing so much confusion. This is the reply of the king of the Auric kingdom. Greetings be to you, Excellency. First, I would like to point out that there have been arrests past week concerning the man you've written me about. His name is Simon, but he adopted the Latin name Althus. He is 21 years old, a Jew from the tribe Dan. His great-grandfather belonged to the secret society of Malech in Italy. His great-grandfather's name was Heftus Silicis Ravus, because he lived in Ravia, Italy. The sect of Malech was involved with child sacrifice, where they would throw small children under the age of 2 within the fire of burnt offerings unto their god Malech. It's nothing strange. Many in Italy are members of such societies, and there are many of them. His grandfather Dalus Silicis Ravus inherited the wealth of his father Heftus 2 years before Heftus died of a sexual transmitted disease. The young Dalus moved to a small village in the south of Noricum and founded a small villa. The plot of land he bought belonged to one of the Rhetian peasant families who were executed to turn off the anger of the Auric population after the massacres in Juvavum 58 years ago. Dalus arrived exactly 1 week after the executions. He took for himself 9 concubines from among the Jews and 2 from among the Auric women. He had 27 children, one of them was Silesius Silicius. Silicius moved at age 19 to the nearby city Locum, where he began working as a trader in textile. At age 24 he moved to Ravia, where his grandfather began as a sect member and businessman. He was not welcomed by his grandfather's associates. They told him not to get involved and to mind his own business. He moved after 4 months to Valencia in Spain. There he remained 5 years before settling in Juvavum, within the Jews in diaspora. He found out, in both Italy as in Spain, that his grandfather wasn't the honest and respectable man his father told him he was. Silicius was around 7 years old when his grandfather died and 5 when he moved with his family to Noricum. So he didn't remember much of Heftus. Heftus, he discovered, had molested many young girls and gave them pregnancies. Some of those children Heftus murdered so he didn't have to offer any child support. Furthermore, he cheated many people and stole from diverse companies. He also hired many assassins who killed politicians, judges and lawyers to avoid legal disputes. Silicius' father Dalus fled to Noricum while Heftus was dying to avoid revenge from his father's victims. At age 30 Silicius became a citizen of Juvavum and he changed his last name into Hebraicus. He married a Auric woman and she gave him 13 children. Furthermore, Silicius had affairs with at least 4 mistresses and he had 3 children from before his marriage. One of those mistresses was a Jewish girl who worked as a slave in Italy. At one of his visits in Mediolanum, Milan, he met her and slept with her. She conceived and had to flee her master's house, because she didn't want to have an abortion. One of Silicius' daughters found out and brought the slave girl to their home in Juvavum. That child, born almost 22 years back, is Simon Moses Mordecai Salomo Hebraicus, but he prefers being called Althus. As you can see, this Althus comes from a family of corruption, theft, sex offenders and polygamy. His mother received monthly financial support to sustain him while growing up and he saw his father, but not often. At age 17 he left for his studies in Britain. He is more excellent than all his brothers and sisters, but due to his maternal ancestry he is not welcome within the family, even though he is a full Hebrew from both sides. I'm not familiar myself with this man, neither do I know about his whereabouts. I don't see any necessity to mingle into the affairs of the Silicius household. Even though their activities are criminal by law, the family does offer employment in the poor areas of Noricum and Rhaetia. To get rid of those people now, would also mean that we would have to endanger our economies and risk a rise in higher and far more dangerous threats to the social order of Noricum and Rhaetia. A possible revolt may happen and this will lead to chaos and bloodshed among many. Let's avoid that as much as possible. And about the Jews. There is no serious threat from them. You see, the Hebrews are divided in this area of the empire. Even though they live separate lives from the other populations in the empire, they are dependent upon the governments for their survival and also they contribute to the social stability. So, there is no reason to panic about them. Furthermore, the grandfather of Althus knew about the conspiracy to cover up the massacres of Juvavum when he purchased the Lad plot. It was therefore that my predecessor together with Emperor Nero decided to allow many immigrants into Noricum at the time to purchase land at a cheap price, to wipe out the evidence. Dalus took advantage of the situation, but he knew about it and so his offspring. As we both have no gain in another scandal of the past being exposed, let Althus alone. He might be the one who is more favorable towards Rome than the rest of his relatives. I will however warn the councils in my kingdom about the Jewish gangs, and I'll let my Jewish servants to spy in the Hebrew community here to find more information. X. The governor of Rhaetia received the reply of the king of Noricum. He was not pleased at all. He knew about a certain Jewish gang leader during the times of Tiberius till Nero who was known as a psychopath. Now he finds out that that man has a whole dynasty of hitmen and robbers, and they are active in the Alpine area and northern Italy. He, however, is still troubled by that Althus guy. He decided to discuss this issue with one of the priests at the temple of Saturn. The priest recommends the governor to approach fortune tellers to reveal things about this Althus. The governor didn't like the idea of getting involved with spiritual powers. He knows very well those forces are real, and also how dangerous they are. So he comes up with a plan to send some agents to a clairvoyant woman to inquire about this Hebrew. The messengers returned to the governor. "Excellency, we did as commanded, and this is what the witch told us. The man you are looking for is living in the country of the Frisians at the moment. He remains at a local city named Bavakila, which is governed by a local prince named Iktu. The city is located about 8 miles from the Nabalia river. There's a small road from the Nabalia bridge to that place. At the western edge of the city there is a small village where a Roman veteran is living. In that village your man is abiding. We paid the clairvoyant for her services, and we didn't reveal whom sent us nor what our motives are. Good, he is relieved, and this case and this meeting never happened." The men leave his office. He calls in a military messenger. "Gather a group of 10 men and go to Oviomagus Batavarum today. There you will pay for a chariot to bring you to the Frisian city Bavakila. The journey will take probably 4 days to Oviomagus and 2 more to Bavakila. When you arrive in the city, lodge at the hostels over there and spy for a Jew named Simon. I'll hand over the documents to you when you're ready to leave. When you find this Simon, who calls himself Althus, you will arrest him and bring him to the detention center in Oviomagus. He is a suspect in the raids that have happened past year in Rhaetia and Helvetia. I want an official report in Oviomagus as soon as possible. Go." Within 20 minutes a few soldiers came, dressed in common clothes, and they received the documents needed to pass the imperial border, including contained false passports and an arrest warrant for Althus Hebraicus. That same day the 10 men left by chariots to Oviomagus. The journey took only 3 days, due to the speed of the horses and the few obstacles on the road. They rested at Oviomagus for 2 days before continuing to Bavakila. Within 2 days they arrived at the small principality. "Look. We cannot just enter the city like this. Just pretend to be locals. When we are lodged for a few days we will begin to inquire. When you begin too soon, the people will become suspicious." The 10 arrived in several hostels and lodged. They remained inactive for about a week, in order to know their environment. 11. 2 days ago I noticed that there are some suspicious men walking around. So I decided to follow one of them. I noticed that they always met during the night. I overheard their conversation. They were talking about a way to arrest Althus. I know that Althus is Simon. Those men had to be Roman officials of some kind. But I didn't want to cause any unrest. So, I came up with a plan of escape. Someone knocks on the door. Simon is sleeping. It's not morning yet. Again there's a knock on my door. Simon wakes up with walls below his eyes. Diana! What are you doing here so early? We don't have much time left. She forced herself into the house. We need to leave right now. Simon was upset. Trust me. We need to go. Simon decided to trust Diana. She is quite serious. Simon takes some money and clothes and leave. Quit. Both walk speedily towards the end of the village. There she sees two small horses before a small chariot. Where did you get those from? Don't worry. Enter in. They enter inside and Diana rides the chariot into the city. She stops nearby the central square. And she gets out. After about 30 minutes she returned with Roxanne. She enters in. And Diana rides away with the two passengers. They leave the city and arrive at an empty road through the woods. Where are we going? Just trust me. 3 hours later they arrive at a city at a river. It's morning now. Get up. She commands. Both are in a deep sleep. Get up. Both are awoken and once outside they see the Latin sign Medio Lavum ADFLV ex Vidres Vscoloiae Roma, Medio Laum at the Vidrus River, a Roman colony. The city is in a ruinous state. The city walls were without a guard. They walk through the city. They meet a few people, but they also encounter many empty public buildings. The city has about 20,000 people. We'll stay here for a while. They enter an empty hotel. They even see the money that the owners left behind. Strange, why are there so many empty buildings? Is this place haunted? Roxanne is amazed. Look, they didn't even bring their money with them. Is there any food around here? I'm starving. There are some fruit around here. Diana comes with 2 baskets filled with grapes, bananas and other delicious sweets. After eating, Roxanne enters the first floor looking for a room. She finds a room with all kinds of luxury in it. Necklaces, rings, sandals, heels, mirrors, makeup, and some clothes. 12. What is that? Diana enters the room. Wow! My God! Her appearance lights up and she jumps of joy. Both girls giggle and share the spoils together. When they come down, Simon is eating some fruits. I see. You both became princesses now. He smiles. Queen. Diana shouts. Queen of Egypt. Like Cleopatra was. Ha ha ha, you want Egypt? Ah, give me Noricum. Roxanne is wearing something like a crown. Roxanne, I, Queen of Noricum. Someone knocks on the open door. It's a redhead, around 20 years old. She looks surprised at the 3 youngsters inside the inn. Hello. I'm Ari and you are? Diana Auricus from Bohemia. Althus Hebraicus from the Auric Kingdom. Roxanne Salicidii Potiphus from Frisia. Roxanne, why do you have 2 last names? Ari asks, you're a native Frisian, right? My great-grandfather is a kind of businessman. He bought a Roman citizenship around 74 years ago in Lutetia. He chose the name Potipharus. His later wife received a Roman rite due to her father's military career in Italy. They were both Frisians. My great-grandfather is around 104 now. My grandfather married a slave girl from the Batavia people, who adopted the name Serena. Serena had a female cousin who later married her son, my dad. My dad decided to give us both last names. My grandfather died when I was 13 years old. So you're partly Batava too? Yeah. I am. I also speak a bit of Batavia. My brother has been to Ovieomagus last year. Big city. Kind people. Re, why is this place so aboded? Simon interfered. It seems like a famine wipes out a big part of the population. Didn't you guys hear the news? What news? There's new land available in Dacia. So many people left to start a new life over there. They are tired of the Roman navy regulating their interaction quote the Rhine. But Dacia is also a Roman territory. Isn't it? Yes, but not all the land is conquered by Trajan. Furthermore, the wars have cost both the Romans and the Dacians a lot of money and troops. So, for the recovery, immigrants are required to rebuild roads and small cities. The wages are good. 10 denarii a week. Enough to save money. I don't believe it. This must be a scam. I'm not sure. But at least 3,000 people from Frisia, mostly unemployed youngsters, left for Dacia about 6 years ago. Did any return back? Well, 2 guys from my village left and returned with a small fortune and each 2 Dacia wives. I see. So. Re looks outside. Why are you here? We're traveling around. Roxanne explains. Althus is on an expedition through Germany. So he is checking out this area around the German Ocean. Where are you guys going next? Is there a harbor city? In the north. Diana asks. Somewhere, where we can rent a boat. If you go to the north, you'll encounter the Monomaeus River. Near the end of the river you'll find Monomaeus city. And at the end of the river, there's a harbor village port Monomaeus. There are hundreds of cargo ships that pass through the harbor. I'm sure you will find something to rent over there. How far is it to Monomaeus city? About 20 hours or 2 days to Monomaeus city. It depends upon your method of travel. I recommend to stay at Monomaeus for a few days before continuing to the port. Can you show us the way? Roxanne requests, while handing over 2 denarii from Simon's wallet. 13. The girl Re brought us to a small chariot with 2 horses. There was room enough for the baggage that Roxanne took with her from the abandoned inn. We entered into it and we left at sunset. The horses were healthy. We traveled on a small road through the forest. We saw many animals through the windows. So, it will take about 20 hours before we arrive at Monomaeus. Meanwhile, enjoy your evening. In the morning we'll pass by the spring of the Monomaeus River and we'll follow the river till we reach the city walls. When the sun sets, Simeo and Diana fall asleep. Roxanne and Re exchange some jewelry. Do you often visit Monomaeus? Roxanne was still wearing that crown. Maybe we can stay at Monomaeus for a while, meeting new people, making some friends. There are many inns, bars, restaurants, shops and marketplaces in Mamameus. It's the largest city in the north of Frisia. Some claim that there are about 150,000 people living there. I'm not sure. I often visit Mamameus, because I have family members who live there. So why were you in Mediolanum? I've returned to Mediolanum because I work there. But there are very few costumers lately, due to the mass emigration to Dacia and Moesia. So my boss is considering the termination of his buses before he goes bankrupt. What kind of job do you have then? Well, I work at a local restaurant. I'm the waitress and I entertain the costumers. Entertain? Number? Not in such a manner. I'm not a prostitute. I keep them company and I talk with them. Though there were times when I was approached for more intimate interactions. What did you do? Well, I asked my co-workers what to do with those women. Women? Yes. Rich girls who like to experiment with redheads. There are quite some perverted females living in Frisia. They even have private parties where they bring young children to have sex with them. No men allowed. Roxanne is in shock. She knew that there are women who like women but... And that's not all, Rox. Sometimes they also kill one of those children as a sacrifice unto Neptune. In exchange for prosperity. Prosperity. But they are already wealthy. Aren't they? That's not how it actually works. How then? There are rich families in Frisia and Batavia who have houses, horses, boats, luxury goods from Asia, slaves, female slaves and the latest fashions from Rome. They aren't many. And most of them know each other also. They live in separate blocks within the cities or in separate landlocked villages. They seldom have interaction with the common people and they value their social distance. So why do those women kidnap children and have sex with them? I mean, they do have children of their own, I assume. And their husbands. Their husbands are wimps. Re cuts her off. Those men aren't real men. Their women control them and they can't say no to their wives. Those women are witches. They worship the goddess Diana, also called Aphrodite by the Greeks and Venus by the Romans. Most of them hate and hatred and contempt for men. They only marry them to keep a front for society. They are covert lesbians, most of them. Those men often associate with them because they want them to do cast fortune spells for them. In exchange they marry those women and secure the secret lifestyle of them. The children that are kidnapped are blood sacrificed, often when the phases of the moon changes, and after each ritual the men go out and do business. Business with the British, the Saxons, the Ugly, the Cimbri people, Urgio, Scandinavia, Finland and of course, also with the Romans in Helvetia. And their businesses are always successful. They even get exempt from paying taxes to the Roman government when they operate within Roman territory. Without the blood sacrifices, the gods will not act. The gods need the human energy that's released by the murder in order to operate. You know some of those people. Well, my uncle is one of them. He got into a sect lately and he was approved by the witch queen of the sect to get initiated into the higher levels. Since then he became very arrogant and contemptuous towards us. So we left him alone. He has new friends now and soon his son will be born. Well, guess you should stay away from your uncle then. Hanging around such evil people is always dangerous. They might decide to use you as a sacrifice any time. It happened to one of me former friends who hung out with a friend of hers whose mother was a Dayak, which also 3 months ago she went missing. After a week, they found her remains near a small river. The authorities claimed that a bear devoured her. Nonsense. The politicians are also involved into the same mess. So they protect each other. Why isn't anyone stopping them? Roxanne is quite upset by what she hears. It's wrong. And it doesn't make sense. Don't you realize it? The whole world operates like this. The Romans, the Greeks, the Macedonians, the Chinese, the Atlasias, the peoples in Africa, Arabia, everywhere you have an elite that worships dark powers in exchange for wealth, power and fame. Why do you think that the Roman Principate is advancing like that? Because of their military. The only reason why Rome is so big is because the local kings and local princes are involved in the same demo worship as the King of Italy. Therefore, they support the expansion of the Roman king, but they call him emperor out of respect. The city of Rome doesn't have enough soldiers to maintain the world in submission. It's through spiritual darkness that they gain the political hegemony that they have. And local elites do the same in their native area. So what you're saying is that most leaders in the world are corrupt. All of them are. Or else you couldn't have political power. And it's not always politics and military. It's also in business, as I've explained, also in religion and in the arts. You have the same system everywhere. Even farmers go to witch doctors to secure an harvest. You know, my father is associated with business people. In the past we've visited Britain and Batavia cities to attend festivals. But as far as I know, he never grew into the circle of established business people. He was never recognized as an entrepreneur. I never understood why. Now you do. Be happy your father is the way he is. Your life will be over if you're a part of such elite families. Why? Don't he think that you own the gold, silver, bronze, copper that you gain when you enter those secret societies? They remain the property of the secret society, under the guard of the grand wizards. So once you have a success, you are obliged to spend your income as the gods please. So that's why many of the rich buy houses they never live in, and that's why they have all those construction projects that make no sense. Why? They have to waste the wealth they've attained. So, they aren't even allowed to marry who they want to marry. You're not allowed to even have sexual interest in people who aren't of the same college, secret society, as yours. Well. But why being wealthy if you can't enjoy it in peace? Such people are greedy. They have no family, no friends, no love and no devotion to their fatherland. They only have one thing: power. Or better, the illusion of power. And that's what they are holding onto. Because the truth is, they are miserable. You're not miserable. Neither are you. She noticed that Roxanne still has the crown on. Why are you wearing that crown still, Majesty? Majesty. Ha ha ha. Well, guess I can introduce myself as a queen when we arrive at Mammameus. Right. 14. The City Council of Mammameus, the city on the Eugagus River, which is also called the Mommemaes River, received a letter from the Roman colony Lugdunum Batavarum. The West Batavia aristocracy, under their leader, Prince Igus Lugdunensis, wrote the following to the governor of the Frisian country Asia. Greetings unto you, Prefect. The governor of Germania Inferior made a new law for all Frisians within the territory of Germania Inferior to get a visa while remaining in the Roman province. This registration ought to be purchased at the capital Colloia Agrippia or at the local capital of the Kefati tribe. My reason for writing to you is because there are at least 1850 natives from your country employed in the cities and corporations at the coastal area. Each passport costs around 25 denarii. Not being able or not willingly to purchase a visa and agreeing with its terms, not marrying a native from the province, paying double taxes, not building nor purchasing any permanent residence, will be sentenced to 5 years in prison, and fined 100 denarii. If the fine cannot be paid after detention, the convict will be sold as slave. In total there are around 2,500 Frisians in Germania Inferior. This recent law would mean that the local state will gain 625,000 denarii from the Frisian community that reside in the cities and villages of the Kefati, Th3 Bataviae, the Tugri and the Ubii. This is an attempt by the Provincia to get rid of the Frisian employees within the borders of the Roman Principate. There are around 4,500 military personnel employed in Germania Inferior. Furthermore, there are 200,000 inhabitants, of whom 1,800 have Roman citizenship. 245,000 people in total. The presence of the Frisians migrants is beginning to bother the majority of the Roman citizens, due to the high fertility rate of Frisians women and the tendency of Frisian men to have many affairs and produce children from those affairs. The Frisian community used to be around 1500 during the Batavia Revolt, under King Civilis. Now, almost 47 years later, due to marrying women from their hometowns and getting many children, outside of wedlock, they are around 2,500. If this trend continues, then within the next 50 years, the Frisians might compose at least 150,000 till 200,000 of the population in Germania Inferior. The fertility rate among the native tribes of Germania Inferior very low. Many marry at a late age and remain childless. Within 25 years, the indigenous population of this province will drop to 130,000. The 25 years above that to around 90,000. This would mean that within 50 years, according to calculations of our statistics, there will be a migrant community of 150,000 Frisians that is bigger than the indigenous population of 90,000. This structural replacement of the heritage of the indigenous peoples that's going on is also alarming the emperor, because it would imply that the Frisians would have easier access to jobs and careers within the Roman civilization. Their economical contribution places them in a position to demand Roman citizenship, which will grant them political influence in elections, the decision-making of the legal system, and they will populate a large amount into the local legions in Germania Inferior and Germania Superior. This will lead to an inclusion of the Frisians into the Roman Empire. But that will make the borders of Gaul vulnerable to invasion of Rome's enemies. To prevent this disaster and future clashes between the local tribes, the emperor and local kings in both Germania Inferior and Germania Superior agreed with this law to drive the Frisians out. Besides a low fertility rate, the rising of Christianity is also a treat to the social cohesion within the provinces at the Rhine border. Christians refuse to participate in the army and they refuse to agree with the fundamental principles of the Roman civilization, worship of the Greek gods, paying taxes to the state and refraining from marrying people outside one's native population. Many Frisians are also joining this Jesus cult, which has caused chaos and disorder in many Roman cities in both Britain, Gaul and Rhaetia. I beseech you, Prefect, to cooperate with the local aristocracy of Lugdunum, against this Roman law. This law will threaten the economic stability of Germania Inferior and that will also lead to disadvantages for Frisia. There are not enough prisons to keep thousands of Frisians. Building more prisons and guarding them would cost at least 300,000 denarii. To maintain the prisoners for at least 10 years would cost around 150,000 denarii and another 50,000 for the payment of the prison guards. Scattering of the Frisians, though slavery might also increase their influence. The state is not overseeing all these consequences. We, the City Council of Lugdunum Batavarum, agree to pay a sum of 1,200,000 silver coins for the return of all Frisians back to Frisia. The country Asia has a blooming economy and the 1,200,000 silver coins can be used to advance the Frisian economy in Asia. This will benefit both Frisia and the indigenous peoples within the border of the Roman Empire. We urge you to send diplomats to Collegia Agrippia and Oviomagus Batavarum, to propose plans to solve this issue. Greetings. Igus Lugdiasis Germaicus, Minister of Agriculture of the Kephati. 15. He read the letter and became disturbed by it. The same moment he ordered a chariot to bring him to the king of Frisia. At arrival he was received and he read the letter. Your Majesty, the Romans are terrified of the emigration of our people into their cities. The Kephati are trying to blackmail us into forcing those Frisians back to Frisia. Many of them are born in the south and are used to the Roman customs. They would never mingle well with our native Frisian norms and principles. If we accept this deal, we will be complying with a criminal conspiracy against the Roman state, which would lead to conflicts and a possible military campaign against us. If we reject this deal, we will be blamed and accused for sending spies to overthrow Roman rule. Did you answer them? Number I left my office immediately after reading the sealed document. The letter arrived yesterday evening and I received it this morning. It was a priority delivery, so the delivery took shorter than 2 days. Go into Mamameus and send out officials to investigate how many Roman migrants are here in this city. If you find anyone with Roman citizenship, take them captive. Then send 10 messengers to Lugdunum, to Prince Igus. Make clear that we will exchange 1,200,000 Roman coins for those Roman citizens. And also send 600 reckless warriors into Germania Inferior. To show them that we mean business. The conditions will be this: the Frisians will be deported by ships across the Nabalia River within 2 months from now and only when we receive at least 10,000 Frisians and the money will we release the Roman citizens. The transaction will take place below the Principality Bavakila. Report every development in this case unto me. The governor left immediately. It was still morning. He did as was commanded. 3 days later an officer reported, Lord, there are 3 Roman citizens that lodge at an inn near the city gate. Who are they and why are they here? There are 2 young women, below 20, unmarried, and a black man, possibly a Jew who is dressed as a scholar. Anything else that might benefit our cause? One of the young women is wearing a crown of gold and expensive jewelry. She's claiming to be a queen of some Celtic tribe from a kingdom named Noricum. The spies didn't know if it was serious or just a joke. A queen. Keep watching them and report their every move unto me. 16. Roxanne has become suspicious because she notices that every time she leaves the inn there's a certain young woman watching her. She, however, decided not to inform her travel mates about it. Port City Mummameus is quite busy. Daily there are cargo ships, ferries and military boats entering and departing. One of the ships that arrived is from a northern European country named Aragos. The men are blonde, with fierce blue eyes and a tall posture. They are merchants that trade tin, iron and bears in exchange for German goods. One particular day, Roxanne and her new best friend Re decided to visit the harbor to see if they can purchase some goods. One of the blokes from Aragos introduced himself. His name is Ijma, he is from the countryside of Western Aragos. He got a job at the tin mines and after a year he was entrusted to join the crew to go abroad. Ijma is 19 and is considering emigration to Lower Germany. He is fascinated by the Roman civilization, especially by their aqueducts, public baths and fresh water in their cities. In his homeland they get water from wells. They do have small aqueducts, but they aren't used for the mainstream community. So, ladies, why are you wearing crowns? We are noble. Interesting. Ijma shows them a map of the area. This is where my country is. It's 9 till 11 days by sailing. We have enormous lakes, many rivers and a lot of mountains in the west. Come and visit us once. The girls buy nothing and return to the hostel. What Re is not aware of is that Roxanne negotiated with Ijma for the map. Back in the hostel she studies the map carefully. When she sees Simon, who is also called Althus, she shows him the far country. You want to go there? Yes. As soon as possible. The next day Roxanne visits the harbor to inform Ijma they would come. Ijma receives permission from their captain to return back with one of the ships. Roxanne pays off the Aragos that remain behind for the loan of their ship. Diana, Roxanne, Simon and Re join Ijma back to his homeland. The youngsters are not aware that another sail ship is leaving with them. 17. On the 8th day of their journey Roxanne drank some wine that was left. According to Ijma they were very close. Just 1 or 2 days left. The ship is large enough for 2 separate rooms and 1 place to bath yourself and there's 1 opening THST serves as a restroom. When Roxanne finished washing herself with the clean sea water she looked outside the window. She noticed that there was a sail ship far off. She remembered that she saw the same ship yesterday and the day before yesterday too. She dried herself with the towel, released the water into the sink to leave the boat and got dressed. She went for Ijma and pointed out to the sailship far behind them. You're paranoid. It's common to see ships ahead or behind you on the seas. Don't worry about it. Eat some cheese. You'll be fine. She still doesn't trust it. She approached Simon, who was still sleeping. When Simon woke up and saw the ship, he became suspicious too. He recognized the ship from the Frisian harbor. He also remembered that it departed at the same time they did. Rox. Don't tell anyone else. They'll get worried and we don't need that. We'll remain with open eyes and we will take action if we notice anything strange on land. 18. The next morning the ship arrived in the harbor of a city named Berigos. The city had several small harbors where international trade took place. Ijma left the boat after parking it at the pier. He paid the harbor clerk 2 denarius. Speaking Scandinavian. These 3 women and this man are Romans. They are here on an expedition to our city. Can you trust those people? Trust me. They are wealthy folks. We could use some of them around here, can't we? True, true. I want you to arrange a place for them in the city. A luxury apartment. Large rooms. The sailor hands him a bag with copper coins. Also, arrange guards to guard them. This is quite much for some random Romans visiting this country. The clerk is confused. Who are these people? Am I getting in trouble for this? Fear not. Ijma gives him an aureus coin in his pocket. You won't. That red-haired woman over there, with that crown. She's a queen. And I assume those 2 women with her are her slaves or maid servants. What about that black guy over there? He's a scholar. Possibly a politician that's assisting the queen consort. You know, the Roman civilization doesn't permit women having authority. What does that have to do with this? Just think about it, Ijma. She's a queen, right? That means that the bloke there is her husband, the king. In the Roman Empire there are many local kingdoms that pay tribute to Rome, and as a consequence remain independent. Probably, this royal couple wants to make a treaty with the leaders of Berigos, and they don't want the government in their area to be aware of it. Ijma is thinking. It makes perfect sense. Good. In that case, go and find a house at the edge of the city, a big one, and rent it for them. Pay 5 men to guard the property. Go. The clerk leaves. Within an hour the clerk returns with papers and with 5 men who carry spears. Ive found these men. They are prisoners, but the prison warden permitted them to be free to guard the people. What about the house? There are 16 abandoned houses at the northern harbor, near the Hebrew neighborhood. It's a ghetto over there. Many thugs are living there. Both Jews and native Scandinavians. The respectable people left the area. They can enter in today. Good. Ijma leads them towards the 5 men and clerk. Within 25 minutes they arrive at a dilapidated neighborhood. Many broken buildings and drunken elderly roaming in the streets. This is it. The house is beautiful. It has 2 floors. Inside there's a large living room with an entrance towards a backyard. There are also several smaller rooms on the first floor. Also, there's a large room with a bath inside of it. This is great. Arya is quite glad I am choosing my room. Me first. Diana and her run upstairs. How much does this cost? Simon is still looking around. It's already paid for. The clerk mentioned this building has no owner. The owners left 5 years ago and never returned. Due to outstanding debts, the property was confiscated by the local governor, just as many other houses. Your payment at the harbor is sufficient. You can stay as long as you want. There are food storages in this neighborhood and some Hebrew restaurants. They only don't serve any pork over there. We got this. Simon sits down on a sofa. Thank you very much, gentlemen. The guards can stay in, sleep in the barn when needed. Roxanne is feeling hungry. The clerk departs and the guards move outside to guard. Diana and Arya are still going through the rooms on the first floor. Simon. What's wrong? I want to use the bath. Could you please warm it up? Fine. While Simon is putting firewood into the basement below the bath, for this he had to go outside of the house, into an alley, between his house and the empty building next to them. He noticed some brown-haired men walking around. He stood up and moved closer, but hid himself, to see what was going on. The men were checking the house and one even peeked at the window. Simon was about to walk towards them to set things straight, but then 2 men, with the Frisian symbol on their clothes, arrived. They carried swords. Simon could understand what they were saying. So, this is the place where the Romans are residing. Yes, we followed them till they got here. There are also 5 guards that are rented unto them. Guards? Yes. Men with spears, but they are marching through the neighborhood now. So we can't stand here for too long. Okay, remember, we aren't here to harm anyone. It's important for the Frisian king that we can guarantee that they are held hostage by us. We don't have to kidnap them and take them back to Mamameus. There are more Roman citizens in Mamameus, right? So, these 4 people aren't that important. You're wrong. Why? These Romans are wealthy. The government in Colossae has made a policy against our people within Lower Germany. They might begin to oppress them by having these wealthy people as hostages. We can blackmail the Batavias to agree to our terms. So, we'll stay around. Just don't let them notice that we are watching them. The men walk away. When Simon walks back into the bathroom, the fire has already heated the bath. While he's closing the door, Roxanne lowers into the water. Great. 19. The governor of Upper Germany received a message from the governor of Lower Germany. Greetings be unto you, prefect. 7 months ago we proposed a treaty with the kingdom of Frisia after we found out that they took Roman citizens as hostages. In the treaty we agreed to pay a ransom of 1,000,000 denarius to Frisia in exchange for the 124 hostages. As a result, 85% of the Frisians left for Frisia and some even settled in Cimbria and Erigos. The transaction was financed by the treasury of the Batavia cities. The debt has to be repaid. I request you to seek for corporations from your administration who are willingly to invest in Lower Germany. The governor of Lower Germany replied. Greetings be unto you, prefect. Actually, I'm quite aware of the treaty between your administration and the Frisian country. It was against the Roman law to make such a treaty, but because of the circumstances our superiors have approved of it. I'm not certain if there are any corporations who might want to invest. But there are around 2,000 former slaves who are willingly to work in your area. They can work and pay off extra taxes. With this the debt could be paid within several years. Also, there's another thing I've found out. There's an Israelite named Simon the Hebrew, who lives in Mogatiacum together with his wife Roxanne, who is from a Frisian Batavia household in Frisia. He is very wealthy and his family is an infamous criminal syndicate operating in Noricum, Italy and Rhaetia. We have confiscated 20,000 aureus from his old uncle who passed away recently. We can also transfer this money unto you for investments. If Simon would decide to request his fortune or one of his other relatives, we might have an expansion of their activities also in the provincial Germanies. For this reason I will expel him soon after the 20,000 has been transferred to Colloae. The final reply, when the money arrived in Colloae, the capital of Lower Germany. Greetings be unto you, Prefect. The money has arrived and the payments to the Batavia cities are completed. We still have a deficit of 500,000 denarius. These are charged from the investments done in the Halium harbor complex. So the problem is solved. The few Frisians that remained in the province form no threat whatsoever. Simon was expelled from his house in Lower Germany. So he and his pregnant wife migrated to Noricum and settled in Ovilibus. Diana remained in Erigos and Aria returned to Frisia.